This cinematic is created with the replay of a co-op skirmish match on Man of War Assault Squad 2 on the Looping Reel Gaming channel. If you would like to see the actual co-op Let's Play footage and want to see more Man of War cinematics on the Konoha channel, then please support us on the Looping Reel Gaming channel by subscribing and sharing our Man of War videos. The link to the gaming channel can be found in the description down below. We have several Man of War skirmishes already up, and also will do multiple mods and requests for missions. Enjoy! In a small town near the Belgian border, the Germans lost a counteroffensive after the Allies had taken and fortified the area. The sent in Germans were low on ammo and manpower. Though armor support was promised, it would not amount to much. Nevertheless, they were sent in to at least stall time for the main armies to set up defensive lines deeper into Belgium itself. The Americans, combined with the British, had set up a death trap alongside the main road of the town. They had several points locked down with sandbags and barricades, often accompanied by either armor acting as turret support or actual AT weapons. The initial enemies they faced immediately found themselves under heavy fire, and though the Brits and Americans thought most of their armor was safe, AT infantry did do some damage here and there. After the first skirmishes had settled down, the Germans got reinforced by one tank. More tanks were on their way at the flanking position, but that would still take time. They would have to do with this one, as the main road would end up in an area with at least 6 positions that could deal devastating damage to the incoming tank. It was decided to head into a side alley to move towards that area from a different direction. A few infantrymen accompanied the tank in hopes for support and covering fire. But beyond the small alleyway lay a large square in front of the church, the perfect opportunity for a trap to be set up. AT weapons from afar could easily take out the German tank as soon as it showed itself. The explosion of the tank blowing up was so devastating that several units got exposed to the Americans, who immediately opened fire on their enemies. The Germans ran for cover. In the near vicinity, there did not seem to be heavy guns set up to do damage to them, but there were a lot of soldiers between the Germans and crossing the square. Some were held up in the church, who soon found themselves pinned down as MG fire shredded the church windows and let blood flow on the tile floor. A push needed to be made. The Allies had set up multiple layers of defensive positions here as well, and a battering ram tactic might work to loosen up the first line so that the Germans could take over the square and dig in. A lot of lives were lost in trying to achieve this. With the Americans killed at the first line of sandbags, the only ones that still posed a threat were the ones in the church. Grenades were thrown in, killing some in the process, but most were able to dodge the shrapnel flee and hide behind rubble or any nearby cover. Those with AT weapons on them were few, but there were some who had AT grenades with them. The first Allied light armor was a bit overzealous and got too close to the Germans where they easily could blow it up. Doing so did cost multiple soldiers their lives as the Allied defensive line moved up. But the Germans could not enjoy a breather just yet, as another armor unit approached the church. This time, it would set up in the church courtyard, but this was a mistake, since a few German engineers had anticipated this move and blew the tank and its crew to Kingdom Come. Though the Germans were able to deal with the two armor units that headed straight towards them, the Allies got reinforced by heavier armor in the next line of defense, out of reach of any unit holding an anti-tank grenade. But the sounds of planes could be heard, as the call for air support was answered, and a bunch of planes dealt swiftly with the armor set up by the Allies, and blowing a few soldiers standing too close up as well. From one of the roads, the Germans got notified that they had been reinforced. A handful of infantrymen were accompanied by a tank destroyer, a new powerful design only recently implemented within the German army. Its armor plating was incredibly powerful. Its weapons were devastating, but the horizontal range and angle at which the main gun could fire was not very wide or flexible. It had to basically position itself in front and act more as cover support and artillery than heading forward to serve as a shield. With the German heavy tank being sighted, the Allies immediately screened for their AT turrets to take that thing under fire. The first few shots it took seemed to do nothing against the armor, but it would not be long before the track was damaged and the German armor was basically crippled. It would need to be repaired to function again and get into an angle where it could deal with the enemies. But before this could be done, the Americans needed to be killed at the second defensive line on the main road, who had a perfect view of the Germans who were scattered across the square. The fighting all throughout the town was fierce, and blood was spilled on both sides for sometimes only a few yards of ground at a time. The Allies were still in possession of most of the area, but they were losing it to the enemy bit by bit. But the Germans only had one armor unit, and that was all they had, and if that could be taken out for good, there was no way the Axis could win this fight. The Allied officers passed on the information to check on everyone's ammo. This battle was far from over.